The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's REMI webinar, Measuring the Economic Impact of Entrepreneurship in the East Central Florida region. This webinar is being presented by Luis Nieves Ruiz, Director of Economic Development at East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, and Belinda Kierkegaard, President at the National Entrepreneur Center. The REMI team and I have been really excited for this presentation. We're incredibly thankful for Luis and Belinda for agreeing to take the time out of their busy schedules to share this very awesome project with everyone. And I'll start out now by doing some brief speaker introductions, and I'll begin with Luis. Originally from Puerto Rico, Luis serves as Director of Economic Development for the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, a council of governments located in Orlando, Florida. Through his 21-plus year career, he has made significant contributions to the fields of economic development, regional food systems, and community revitalization. So this includes using the REMI PI Plus model to estimate the economic impact of a variety of investments and activities, including tourism, sea level rise, and early learning education, among others. Because of his many career accomplishments, Luis was inducted as a fellow of the American Institute of Certified Planners in 2022. That same year, he was also awarded the Professional of the Year Award by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Metro Orlando and Prospera. Belinda Ortiz Kierkegaard is the president of the National Entrepreneur Center. Prior to joining the NAC team, Belinda worked the last 13 years for the city of Kissimmee as the Economic Development Director, working with a leadership team that believed in building an incredible quality of life for residents and businesses alike. Her professional experience also includes the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association, Orange County's Business Development Office, as well as having worked for a couple of Central Florida elected officials. And now some administrative things. If you have any questions at any time during this presentation, I encourage you to enter it into the question box, and time permitting, I will moderate these questions to the presenters. I'll also hand any leftover questions by the end of the hour to the presenters, so don't let that be a reason you don't ask, because we'll be sure to reach back out to you. And also shortly after the presentation, you'll receive an email that contains the slides and a recording of this presentation. If you have any questions after reviewing these materials, I encourage you to reach out to info@remi.com with any appropriate questions specific to this project, and I would gladly connect you with the speakers if appropriate. And that's enough for me, and I'm very excited for this. Thank you again to Luis and Belinda for agreeing to do it, and take it away, Belinda.
Excellent. Thank you. And good afternoon to everyone here today. Brian, thank you for that introduction. I've got to live up to the kind remarks. So I'm Belinda Ortiz Kierkegaard. I'm the relatively new president of the National Entrepreneur Center located in Orlando, Florida. We're currently located in Orlando Fashion Square Mall. And on your screens, you see a photo of the entrance into our home. For purposes of time, I'm going to go ahead and jump in and, okay, I didn't think the clicker was working for a second there. So what is the National Entrepreneur Center? The Cliff Notes version of the definition is that we are a one-stop shop for all small business needs here in Central Florida. We provide the ecosystem for 19 different economic support organizations, and you see our clover with the logos of all the organizations that we work with that provide business technical support to our small business community. And they do it at the cost of free or at a highly discounted rate, because ultimately we want to ensure our entrepreneurs have access to starting their business in the most successful way possible. So in our ecosystem, we house these organizations. 14 of the 19 have offices here, or they utilize our space, our training room space, to provide the educational programmatic. By having all these 19 organizations collaborate and work together, one of the things that we have found in the 21 years that we've been established is that it really reduces the duplication of services that are offered in this community. And it allows these organizations to truly specialize in what they do best and cross-pollinate. So if one organization is really strong in particular areas, we'll have other organizations that might tap those those individuals to come teach classes for some of their members or their clients. So there's a lot of cross-pollination. As you see in the Clover, we also have a myriad of organizations that are chambers of commerce. We are very proud of the fact that we are a very comprehensive as well as inclusive organization. So we, some of the membership-based organizations in our ecosystem are the African American Chamber of Commerce, or the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Pride Chamber, the Indian American, the Asian American Chamber, NABO, which is a women's-based organization, etc. So we truly capture the look and personality of our community here in our ecosystem. Every other month, we have what are called management board meetings. So I sit down with the CEOs of all these organizations, and not only do we report out on what it is that we're working on in our respective fields, we get to also talk about the small business trends that we are seeing in our community. So I referenced all those different chambers of commerce. They're all regional chambers that have niche audiences, and they're typically audiences that mainstream America has a tough time reaching. And so in these meetings, we get to see what kind of trends are happening. We get to identify things that might be issues involving a number of different communities. And so as an ecosystem, we get to develop programming to kind of help offset some of those issues, or we get to, again, work together to kind of help each other out to fill some of the voids that we might be seeing if there's voids that some organizations are seeing occur. So a great collaborative effort that occurs to supporting our small business community. And under this model, everyone's at the table. I think Luis, who is the next speaker, may have heard me say, oftentimes if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. And so in this model, everyone's at the table, everyone has a voice. And so we get to truly capture the needs and wants of our small business community here in Central Florida. So I mentioned the NEC has been around 21 years. This is our 21st year. And in that span, we have trained or coached in our ecosystem over 300,000 entrepreneurs. Last year alone, we trained or coached 25,000 entrepreneurs. And so collaboratively, we all work to grow our small business community. And that's truly our one big mission for everyone here. I noted the costs. So I would say about 95% of what's offered here at the NEC is free. They're free resources that are available, or because we do have membership-based organizations, they'll provide highly discounted items. So when you join, for example, joining a chamber, there's obviously a cost associated with that. But once you're a member, there's free programming that's offered. But I want to kind of talk about some of the technical support that's offered that's free specifically. So within our ecosystem, we help small businesses identify, or help them build their business plan. And it could be any phase of their business plan. And one of the things that we often see is that businesses will start and they're not quite sure who their audiences are. And I always stress the plurality of audiences, because there are many clients that oftentimes with individuals that are selling a product or good, but it's identifying who those audiences are, because each one of those audiences are going to have a different way of being reached. Small businesses, when they get started, figuring out the right price for their good or service. Oftentimes they're giving away, their products or goods, thinking that they're doing themselves a favor. And to an extent, promoting your products in a free way is important, but not when you're doing it at the cost of your own business. So helping them figure out price points and that marketing strategy. Within our ecosystem, we also have Ascendus, which is a microloan program. And I often tell audiences when I do live sessions, if you're running your business on a credit card, please don't leave without chatting with me, because that is the #1 way of truly driving your business to the ground. That is not the right way of going about it. We do have resources to be able to help you with that capital that you need to move forward. I referenced it just a second ago, a marketing plan. We do help individuals create their marketing plans or develop the right web content for online sales, and then how to reach each of their target audiences, because they're going to have different approaches, and how you phase it in. Oftentimes companies just want to kind of do all of them at once, and that may work for some, but more times than not, you're phasing in some of that. So helping them go through that. Also within our ecosystem, and this is actually one of the service lines of the NEC itself, in addition to housing and providing training room space for these organizations, the NEC runs the Central Florida International Trade Office. So when we think of international trade, we oftentimes think, you're distributing your products or goods all over the world, and you need to be this major, large corporation. And the reality is, that's not quite the case. But there's a case for companies to really think globally. And I'm going to give you some fun facts that resonated, at least to me, when I first heard them. So 95% of the world consumers live outside of the United States. So if you're only thinking stateside, you're missing out on 95% of consumers in the world. 80% of global consumers spending is done abroad. So again, another chunk of change that is a missed opportunity if you don't think more internationally. And this one was the biggest aha moment for me. 56% of the manufacturers that export in the United States are mom and pops. They have less than 20 employees. More than half of the manufacturers that export have fewer than 20 employees. So there's really no reason a small business can't think globally. So if that's something that companies are interested in, we ask that you reach out to us. We do have the International Trade Office, and all the services that are offered are free. We just onboarded a new individual, Roger Colon, who's got a wealth of experience in international trade from the public sector as well as the private sector, and does amazing work. The other service line of the NEC is called BizLink Orange, and it's the virtual platform of what's offered here. And so for all those viewers today that are outside of Central Florida but are interested in turning your side hustle into an actual business, I encourage you to visit this website, because although it's relevant more for starting a business here in Central Florida or within the state of Florida, a lot of this information is something that translates to other cities, or can help you guide you in your entrepreneurial journey to starting a business in your respective states. So BizLink Orange is, as I noted, the virtual platform, and within it you will find a tab that's to request a personal action plan. And what we do, so on this website, we've got a tremendous amount of guides, the how to start a business, what a marketing plan should look like, how to start a nonprofit, etc. And it's so much information, sometimes individuals feel intimidated by just trying to absorb all of this information. And so we have a button that you can request a personal action plan, where we tailor a plan just for you. So it starts by filling out a form, and you're telling us your objectives. Are you starting a business? Do you have a business? What are the parameters of what you do? Again, your objectives, etc. And then we receive that information, and Katie Cook, who's our program manager, and I jokingly call her my walking encyclopedia, because Katie is just absolutely amazing with all the knowledge she has on resources available across the 6 counties that we serve. She'll put together that plan. She'll provide you with upcoming seminars or workshops that might be something of interest to you. She'll match you up with the different resource partners that make sense to assist you with the help that you're seeking. And and items of the such are all captured within this personal action plan that's created for you. The other thing that's on this website is the business community calendar. And this one I am very, very proud of because it is the only one of its kind in Central Florida. And it's where we capture all the nonprofit business technical support work that's happening in Central Florida. It's on one centralized calendar and it lives on our BizLink Orange page. So for example, if next Tuesday you are looking at a free evening and you think you want to attend some kind of educational workshop to elevate your business, you could go to this calendar and kind of look to see what's happening on that Tuesday. It'll list, I believe, after-hour activities, workshop seminars, different conferences, again, that exist in Central Florida from our business nonprofit world. And then this is the calendar I also tell individuals that are in Central Florida, if you're looking to put on a big event, we encourage you to go to the calendar and kind of take a look at what else is happening that day. So that, for example, when our Orange County mayor puts on his state of the county, it'll be something that we'll have captured. That might not be the best day for your organization to potentially put on a breakfast so that it conflicts with the 2,000 people that might be interested in going to the mayor's state of the county address. So this calendar serves a myriad of purposes, but it first and foremost to provide information on what's happening so that you could fill up your own calendar with different events and activities that you might be interested in attending. So that's BizLink Orange. And then we offer a number of other more free things. And I'm going to go over some of the examples of things, not only that you'll find on the calendar, but things that happen in our ecosystem. So examples of workshops are ChatGPT 101, leveraging the latest craze to level up your business. This is a workshop that's happening on June the 20th. It's virtual, so whether you're in Central Florida or not, if you're interested in attending, you can go to the BizLink Orange website and register. It is a free workshop, and this one happens to be held online. Another workshop, how to do business with Orange County government. And this one we have the third Monday of each month, and that's an in-person workshop that happens here at the NEC. So if you're interested in doing work with government, Orange County government in particular, that's a good one. This is another workshop that SCORE is having. This one's occurring May 7th. So it happened about a week and a half ago, but you can find similar things on the calendar. But this one's HR pitfalls for small and medium-sized businesses. And so a remarkable way to kind of learn what, from the mistakes of others and how to avoid them. This one was the fundamentals of raising capital, and some of the content. It's bootstrapping, funding from family and friends, and why not to do that, in my opinion. But this one's a workshop that's happening on May 31st in the morning, and again on the website you can register to attend. This is another session on advancing AI, so an intermediate workshop. So if you're familiar with ChatGPT and how it works and you want the next step, here's another workshop, and this one's virtual as well on May 14th. Oh, that one was last week, but tackling QuickBooks, and this one's phase 2. So if you know the basics, we've got this the second version, and that one's June 26th. Also a webinar that's free. Apex Accelerator, government contracting. So these are all examples of things that are offered for free here at the National Entrepreneur Center, and I can't stress enough how they're free. F-R-E-E. Our community has truly made entrepreneurship a priority, and they put their money where their mouth is. And so we are able to provide all this programming for free because we have a myriad of wonderful investors. And here's a snapshot of who fund the NEC, not only to keep the lights on, but to be able to provide great educational content to our business community. And we are so thankful for all their support. So one of the questions that I was asked, and in the intro, I mentioned I'm relatively new to the NEC. I've been on board a little over a year now, and obviously as a good leader, I've got to have a vision for the organization. And I'll chalk it up to 4 points. One is to grow our footprint, so it's truly providing services on a regional scale. So we've partnered with a couple of municipalities. We will have another office located in Seminole County, which is the county to the north of us. The other opportunity that I'm very happy to lean on is to grow our Central Florida International Trade Office with more intentional international trade efforts, whether it be trade missions or that educational space. And this is a snapshot of what trade development could look like, areas of what I'm calling low-lying fruit. So it's to be that ombudsman for our small business community, to create business matchmaking overseas with some of these trade missions, where we're not only educating entrepreneurs so that they're ready to do work internationally, and that we're helping them identify all the resources to help them mitigate their risks in doing work internationally, but then taking them overseas to different conferences and working with our partners on the other side, on the international from the other international country, to do those matchmaking sessions, so that we're now signing contracts and truly moving the needle here for us in Central Florida. So that's a snapshot of just some of the areas that will be growing intentionally when it comes to the International Trade Office. And this was a slide that I wanted to throw in, because when we think of international trade, we think, great, yes, it's generating more GDP, but at the end of the day, it also creates jobs for our community. So every 1 billion in exports, it supports over 4,200 jobs here in a community. For every 1 billion in agriculture exported, it's 7,500 jobs. And then if you look at products that are shipped through the different ports, now it jumps up to 15,000 jobs that it supports for every $1 billion exported. So remarkable numbers of not only growing our economy, but really growing high value, high wage jobs in our marketplace. So very important for us. And then to how we actually landed here today, we are currently located in Fashion Square Mall, and like most malls across the country, many of them have seen better days. And so we're looking at where our next location, where our next home, our true headquarters location would be. And so this is a new facility is what I'm working towards, and having us out of the space within the next 2 years is the goal. For us to be able to roll out a capital campaign and tell foundations and different donors on a larger scale all about the good work that we do, it's important to truly understand our numbers. And that's where we worked with Luis, with the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council, to help us identify what those numbers are. And Luis, who in a minute will tell you more about how he utilized the REMI software program to create that plan for us. But this is what we're working towards, or something of the like. This is what $16 million will build for us. And so that's part of the goal. So we've talked about the future of the NEC, growing our services regionally, growing the Central Florida International Trade Market, leaning into a new facility, and then truly taking this model nationally, where you will find us across, in different states across the country. And so that's where we stand. And Brian, I think you were going to have folks type in questions. I don't know if you want me to answer them now, or we do it at the end. That is my the QR code for my contact information. So should anyone have any questions after the fact, or want support or help on anything that we offer here, I am happy to visit with you then.
Awesome. Yeah, we will. I think it's best to wait for questions till the end. So we'll go ahead and do that. But yeah, please do save that QR code, anybody, if you want to reach out to Belinda in the future. And also thank you so much, Belinda, for the great introduction to the NEC's activities and how it supports entrepreneurs. And now Luis will be going a bit into the economic impacts. We're going to have a bit of a transition period too, as I go ahead and share the screen, which I think should now be shared for everyone.
Yes.
Awesome. And Luis, it is, you can take it away.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Brian and Belinda, for this excellent presentation. Again, my name is Luis Nieves Ruiz, and I currently serve as the Director of Economic Development at the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council. You can hit the next one. So the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council is one of 10 council governments located in the state of Florida. We are mainly tasked with providing technical assistance to local governments and organizations within the 8 counties that you see in the map on the right. This includes providing economic impact analysis services, which I myself have been providing for more than 10 years. Next. So when we're talking about how we are going to be modeling the economic impact of the National Entrepreneur Center, our team decided it was best to complete 2 different scenarios. The first scenario is a valuation simulation, where we really use the jobs created by the different providers to estimate the value of the NEC to the region. A second scenario estimates the impact of expanding the services that are provided by the organization. You can go to the next slide.
And Luis, if I could say, so if you could call us the NEC, not NEC, I'd appreciate it. The NEC.
Okay, we'll go with the NEC. You can go to the next one, Brian. So first thing first with the methodology, we first met with 7 separately with 7 different providers to get the following information from them. We wanted jobs generated between 2020 and 2023. We wanted to know the type of industry and location of these businesses. One of the challenges we face in this phase of the project was the lack of uniformity when it came to data collection. Some providers only had a total number of businesses created annually, or only had the industries at the 2-digit next level. As of us that are like users of REMI know that the model usually goes to the 3-digit level, which provides much better information. So to address this situation, we decided to distribute jobs among industries and locations based on the profile created by the REMI forecast for the region. Next. Based on the information from the different organizations, the NEC providers created just over 17,000 jobs between 2021 and 2023. More than half of these jobs were within 3 different industry super sectors. There was the first, the professional and business services industry, education and health services, and trade, transportation, utilities, and manufacturing. The overwhelming majority of these jobs are located in Orange County. Next. So according to REMI, these 17,442 jobs generated just over 22,000 indirect and induced positions. Most new jobs were in the construction, professional, scientific, and technical services, and retail tech industry sectors. This economic activity also created 7.6 billion in sales and 2.9 billion in personal income, most of which is wages and salaries. Overall, the NEC providers helped to increase the region's GDP by 4.8 billion %. 8 billion, sorry. Go to the next one. For the second scenario, the ECFRPC assumed that the NEC could serve 20% more businesses than average if they had near location building. We assume that the geographic and industry distribution characteristics will remain the same over a 20-year period. Based on this information, we found that the NEC will generate on average about 50,000 jobs, the 80.2 billion in output, and 5.8 billion in personal income. Now, the NEC will be expected to contribute over $5 billion annually. to the region's economy. And again, these are basically 20-year averages, so everybody knows. Next. So one of the biggest findings, again, on a recommendation that I discussed with Belinda, and hopefully will get triggered down to the providers, is that if we really want to tell the story of what the NEC is doing for our region, we need to have a uniform data collection approach among all the organizations, because this will actually help us provide better results. I'll have to make less assumptions, and because I will have less gaps of information, so it will definitely be very helpful. Next. Well, here's my contact information, but before we leave, I want to thank my former intern Sophie for all the work that she did in helping me put those inputs together. And now that I reached the end of the presentation, I think we can go to questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Luis, for sharing the economic impacts, and also thank you to Belinda for the background of the NEC and what they do to help entrepreneurs and small businesses. I want to just announce to everybody that we're about to go into the question portion of the webinar. So if you have any questions, I definitely encourage you to enter them in the box now. And like I said, if we aren't able to get to all of them, don't let that discourage you from entering any, because we'll be sure to reach out shortly after. And I also just wanted to let everyone know, just because we received a question about this, that we will be sending a copy of these slides and a recording of this presentation to your email about an hour after this concludes. I definitely encourage you to look through those materials to get a closer look at the figures or the capabilities of the NEC, and reach out to info@remi.com or to either address of Luis and Belinda. I just encourage you to make sure that it's appropriate to the presentation, and what they covered in the presentation. So we're about to get started. The first question, like I said, being, would we be able to get a copy of the presentation? Yes, you will. I'll be sending that shortly. And I actually want to start with the question. It might be a bit better for Belinda, but Luis, do feel free to enter if you have any input on it. Are you aware of any other regions or states that are trying to adopt a similar model? Was there any models that of this sort of organization or program that you took inspiration from for Florida, or is there anything you can fill in to that respect?
That's a great question. So when we hear of economic support organizations like what we do, we really like to go visit them. And coincidentally, I was in Nashville. Nashville also has an entrepreneur center that we went to go visit. Their model's a little different. They're more of an incubator. There's nothing as comprehensive like we have here anywhere else in the United States, and I would venture to say around the world almost, with the exception of the Russell Innovation Center in Atlanta. James Bailey there has created this remarkable ESO that not only provides technical support, it incubates in-house companies, and then it even has a whole financial wing. And they're located in Atlanta. They are focused on growing Black businesses, and in Atlanta, it makes sense for their community. We are more inclusive in that we capture just all the small business needs within our community. So for that reason, I would venture to say we're still the most comprehensive. As it relates to other locations around the country, we were modeled after a program that existed in San Jose that is no longer around any longer. But again, it didn't have as many partners as we have now. We do have 19, and that includes a microloan program. So some of them exist. They're just not as comprehensive as we have, or as concentrated as we have. They don't hit the numbers that we hit.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And the next question actually is for Luis. So it follows this. Luis, can you go into more detail on how you input the business data? Did you summarize up to the 2-digit NAICS level, given that some businesses were missing info?
Yes, for some of them we had to. And I personally, I'm a data person. Everybody that knows me for years know that I'm very particular when economic data. When I'm dealing with next industry codes, I like to have my 6-digit information, and it certainly, I'm not really a fan when I don't have, I have information that is more aggregated than that. For, again, we had, I think it was 7 providers that we talked to. Each of them collected the information different. One of them, our largest ones actually, the way it was very difficult to get their data sent to Excel in an Excel file. So in the end, what Sophie had to do for me was basically go in and try to identify what would be the best next code to work. I had another provider that just gave me a number of, like, this is the total number of jobs we created this specific year based on our activities. That one, I had to basically just go from the start, look approximately how many counties they serve, and try to follow kind of like parallel to this. I basically follow the profile. I know how many jobs I had in Orange, Seminole, Volusia, and the other counties. And I know how their share of jobs is. So I had to apply that job share to that number and then distribute it by industry based on what the regional profile that's within the model. So each provider was treated very, I had providers, the UCF incubation program, they provided me like really excellent information, even to the quarter. Like I had information to quarter like every year. Then I had to handle, it's like, well, is this business still going to be, was the business still here after the quarter? Because sometimes the data, it was very hard to understand, to align the data. So each one of them had a very different challenge. But yes, one thing that I do in my job is try to fill on those gaps and kind of like, if I can have a 3-digit model, I'd rather do that. Some of them were modeled that way. Others, I just basically had to go with a 2-digit because I had no other option. But I don't think that's ideal.
Awesome. Thank you, Luis, for answering that question. Another question was, Belinda, you noted earlier that you work with a lot of different organizations that are focused on supporting, different small businesses, based that are owned by different, races and things like that. I'm curious if you looked at the economic impacts at the socioeconomic level, including like, how it affects different people of different income levels, or how many jobs it might give to, some racial groups, or based on gender and things like that, or if the scope of the economic impact study that wasn't included in it. I'm just curious.
It wasn't included. No, we kept it more on just as Luis noted, just the region and economy as a whole. We didn't do a deep dive on race or ethnicity issues.
Okay, awesome. And another question we received is, does the NEC receive any federal funding?
Not yet. No, not yet. We are looking at the U.S. Economic Development Agency. They do have dollars for different things, and we'd like to apply for a grant towards the capital campaign with the build out of a new headquartered facility. But no, we've not gotten anything from them.
Okay, awesome. Those were the questions we've received at this time. So what I'll do is I'll begin to do my outro, and typically as I do this, we'll have some questions that come in, like what just happened. So the next question we received is, are the jobs number net new jobs, or how do you account for jobs lost due to industry growth?
That's more a Luis question.
Yes, for this specific analysis, and it's partly because just to let you guys know that we completed this analysis in about 2 months. So we have very short time frame to complete the project. We didn't look at job loss and net job losses. So we understand that businesses basically open and close every day. That type of analysis, because we were gathering data from so many different providers, and we did not do that type of analysis for this time. However, one thing that I want to inform everyone, if you look at the share, the industry that's having the highest growth right now, the super sector, with the highest growth in Orange County is professional business services. And that has been happening for the past couple of years. Some people are even saying that we left leisure hospitality behind because of that growth, which is not realistic, but hey, it's something that they say. And part of the reason I believe that this is happening is because we have very strong entrepreneurship system. Other stories that I'm familiar with, Orlando overall as a region, at least the MSA, the difference between birth and deaths of firms has remained very positive through the years. This is not the story nationally. Nationally, we have more deaths than births of new firms. But what we see in Orlando is that because we're a new region and we have such a strong entrepreneurship system, we're seeing that we keep growing. So there have been a couple of adjustments to those direct jobs that we enter. Because of that, there probably will have, but I don't think it will have been such a high amount because we had so many new businesses coming in that I think the final result will have pretty much smooth, in my opinion.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Luis. And so, yeah, as I mentioned a few moments ago, we're going to be sharing these slides and the recording from this presentation to your email in about an hour. I encourage you to use these materials, and then if you have any questions, to reach out to the email addresses on the respective slides. And again, just please be sure that they're appropriate to the project. Thank you to everyone who joined today. And I just want to again say thank you to Belinda and Luis for the great presentation. I found it very insightful and engaging and incredibly interesting. And yeah, and thank you for joining. We hope you have a good day and a good week. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.